Hello, I'm a single woman who just turned 40. I would like to tell you about my story when I broke my engagement during a meeting of both families a few years ago. I dated passionately in my 20s and tried to get married, but due to various reasons, I couldn't. After that, I didn't really think about getting married. I went out with someone that I loved very much for 10 years, but it was still difficult to get married. So I had a lot of questions about whether I could meet anyone decent to get married. My friends said that there is a special one to get married, but I didn't want to. Perhaps I was too tired back then. But last year, a friend of mine practically forced me to go on a blind date. First of all, she kept calling, telling me to just believe her and go out. I really didn't want to go, but I appreciated her thinking of me, so I decided to give it a try. The man was a plastic surgeon who had just received his specialty license. He said that he had originally majored in a different major and worked for a while before going back to medical school and becoming a doctor at a later age. I thought it was really great. He bravely did what others only just think about doing. Whether because he was a plastic surgeon, he was very neat and tidy, with a nice impression. To be honest, I liked him because he was a likable type. I majored in music, and the guy liked it. He said he was also interested in music. As we talked, I realized that we liked similar music, had similar hobbies, and liked the same kind of food. We both also enjoyed watching movies. At our first meeting, we talked about movies, dramas, and food. We didn't realize how fast time had passed. We met in the afternoon, but ended up having dinner together and partying. I didn't think too seriously, thinking that we communicated well. But starting from the next day, he kept calling me. He said he liked me and wanted to date me formally. I didn't mind either, but I was hesitant because of my age. At my age, people usually date with the intention of marriage. Actually, I thought it would be more comfortable to live alone. As if he read my mind, he asked me to not make any decisions now, but since we communicated well, we should just focus on getting to know each other for now. Then I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea, so in the end I said okay. The more we met, the more it seemed that we got along well. It was great to watch movies together. Together, we looked for famous local restaurants to eat at. As we grew closer, we began giving each other advice on interior decoration. At this point, my friend who introduced us pushed me to not just pass the time, but to either get married or engaged before the end of the year. However, we decided not to burden each other with marriage, and I am content with the way things are. Then she said, "You may be fine now, but when you get older, all your friends will have families except you. It'll be very lonely. Do you think that depression just happens? It's from living all alone. So, don't be like that and think it over carefully." What she said was true. My parents let me be because of my job since I majored in music, but I knew they were patiently waiting for me to bring up the subject of marriage. I majored in classical music composition in college, but I also studied producing and participated in producing several popular songs. Occasionally, I helped students prepare for college admissions. The pay wasn't bad and it was fun. It seemed that my boyfriend was also proud of my job and would brag to his friends about it. Since my schedule was flexible, he appreciated that I could adjust my hours to meet him at his convenience. I think he liked all those details and he started talking about marriage naturally. Even though I was influenced by my friends and parents, I did not actively seek out marriage. However, my boyfriend became more obsessed with me and would call me dozens of times if I didn't answer his phone call. He would ask, "Why didn't you answer the phone? Were you working? You said you were going to do it tomorrow. Who else is there? Is there another man besides me? Is that why you're not interested in marriage?" Whenever the subject of marriage came up, he would begin to choke me. I tried to explain that my working hours were flexible, just like his hospital hours, and that I worked with my colleagues. So, there was nothing wrong with being with someone. I didn't check every single one of his nurses. I got annoyed, and he quickly apologized, saying, "No, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. Are you mad? Please don't be mad." He would apologize repeatedly for being so devastated. I grew tired of this kind of relationship and even considered breaking up. However, he must have noticed this and stopped calling at a certain point. He also became very distant, easygoing, He tried to accommodate me on anything and never talked about my work again. I thought this man would be okay if it continued like that. As my friend said, I had a lot of worries about what to do if I was all alone and lonely later. Then, one day, my boyfriend brought 100 pink roses and a ring for a dinner date and proposed to me. Jenny, I really don't think I'll ever meet someone like you again. Of course, I know we didn't meet with any intention of getting married. I know that marriage is not on your mind, but I'm very confident that I can change your mind and make you regret ever thinking of not getting married by making marriage fun every day for you. You know me. Once I put my mind to it, I can do anything. I love it when we're together. So, I don't know why we have to be like this without getting married. How wonderful it would be if we could always look at each other in the same space. These days, that's all I think about. To be honest, I know you enjoy being with me too. It's fun to be together, but why should we keep living apart? I really want to marry you. Please marry me. I was a little moved by his honest confession. What was I to him for him to act this way, I thought. I couldn't say no to a person who proposed marriage so frankly and desperately. With my lukewarm stance of neither yes nor no, his talk of marriage became a reality. But the day before I was supposed to meet his parents, I started to have second thoughts. Was this marriage really what I wanted to do? Is it right to get married just because we have fun when we are together and communicate well? After announcing our marriage in a confused state, I still felt uneasy. My friend strongly agreed, saying I made the right decision, but it's not a life she will live for me. It's my life. Still, I had to take responsibility for the decisions I made. My heart was heavy, but I went to see my boyfriend's parents, because we didn't talk about each other's family when we first met. I didn't know anything about his parents, and he didn't know about my family either. Because I didn't meet him with marriage in mind, I wasn't curious about his parents or his family. My boyfriend didn't know because I didn't tell him. So I was pretty nervous all the way to his parents' house. I was also scared. I was worried that I would make a mistake in front of my future parents-in-law. So I picked out the best gift within my budget as much as possible. I calmed my pounding heart and went into the house with my boyfriend. Mom, Dad were here, he said as his mother came out, but there was no smile on her face. Suddenly, my heart dropped for nothing, but I said hello, but she just scanned me up and down and took the gift I brought and went into the kitchen without saying anything to me. His father was sitting on the floor watching TV, but he didn't even look at us. I looked at my boyfriend with a half-embarrassed and half-angry face, and he grabbed the remote control and turned off the TV. How could you be like this when we're here? When my boyfriend said in a resentful voice, his father said there's something important on right now. He reluctantly turned to us. Even as I said hello, his father barely paid any attention and just took out a cigarette and smoked. It was embarrassing and uncomfortable. My boyfriend kept signaling to his father, but his father kept ignoring him. I felt like just wanting to get up and go, but his mother cut some fruit and brought it out. This plate, she said, was sent by Robert's patient last time to thank him. It's so luxurious, because his hospital doesn't allow doctors to receive gifts from patients. They somehow got his home address and sent this. She put it in front of me as if to brag. However, doctors shouldn't receive private gifts from their patients. I was confused and looked at my boyfriend. My boyfriend looked flustered and said, "Mom, if something like that comes, you have to send it back." Our hospital director used to be a university professor, so he's very sensitive to things like that. What's the big deal? Just tell him that your mom is old and she didn't know any better. She said it insignificantly, but it really made me feel complicated. Besides, his mother asked, "I heard that your parents do some kind of volunteering. There's no money in it, and it's just wasting time and energy. Aren't you supposed to stop them as their daughter? But then it's not like you go to work every day also. What kind of music are you recording? It doesn't seem like it's a permanent position. Do you even get paid properly? If possible, how about looking for an office job right now?" My boyfriend told his mom as I casually mentioned Mike doing volunteering to donate food on their food truck and about my job in passing. My boyfriend looked nervous and said, "Mom, what's wrong with you when you don't know? Jenny also earns a lot. She's very sought after. He tried to stop his mother from talking. There's no guarantee that everything will go well all the time. It might seem like a good thing now, but what will she do when she's older? She has to think about everything in advance. Otherwise, only you have to work like crazy to earn money. That said, it was ridiculous. Still, I did my best to be polite, and as soon as I left my boyfriend's house, I said, "Let's rethink marriage." However, he protested, saying, "I'm very sorry about today. My mom and dad are not feeling well these days, so please try to understand. We young people need to understand the old people, don't we?" I'll tell my parents again. Even though they can be a bit blunt, when you get to know them, there are no people like my parents. He tried to persuade me. I felt sorry for my boyfriend who earnestly talked like that, and I thought that he took our marriage seriously, so I decided to proceed for now. I had a feeling that I shouldn't make a hasty decision after meeting them only once. And on the day my boyfriend was supposed to come to our house, my mother had been grocery shopping since dawn, busy making food all day long for her prospective son-in-law. My dad also went to the sauna early and was neatly dressed to greet my boyfriend. We were waiting for my boyfriend to come, but he was late without any phone call. Then after 2 hours, he called to say that his previous surgery ended too late and he had to go into another operation. He said he couldn't make it. My mom didn't look very pleased, but she tried not to show it, and my dad said we had to understand since it could happen in surgery. But I was really offended. Isn't this too much? When I went to your house, I was treated so absurdly. How could you not come to meet my parents? If you thought it would be that busy, you could have let me know in advance. Was it really that difficult? It seems like you just didn't think my parents were that important to you. I tried to understand you because you acted so desperately wanting me, but this isn't right. Even if I put aside your parents, how am I going to get married if you treat my parents as if they are nothing to you? I really couldn't contact you. The face contour surgery patient took longer than expected, so the next patient was delayed. So what could I do? You have been very understanding all this time. Could you please try to understand me once more? I have my own circumstances, but it's not fair that you keep getting angry. I will make sure to go see them separately. Then the next day, when I was not at home, he came to visit and gave my mom and dad a present and apologized. My mom told me that he apologized profusely. She sounded like she felt much better. Yeah, something like that could happen at the hospital. Be kind about it. However, my parents didn't know how I was treated by his parents. I couldn't tell them because they would feel very hurt. Since my parents had a good impression of my boyfriend, I couldn't bring up that I didn't want to get married. I still have a lot of feelings for my boyfriend. My parents wanted me to marry, and I wondered when I would meet a new person that I would want to marry. I harbored my offended feelings, and the meeting day was approaching for both sides of the family to greet for the first time. Suddenly, I received a call from my boyfriend's mother. She asked me to meet her right away to discuss something separately. Because I had a bad experience when I visited her home last time, I was reluctant to meet her alone. So I called my boyfriend to ask why she wanted to meet with me. However, he must be busy as he didn't answer the phone. I was nervous to meet his mom without knowing anything, so I went to his hospital. It was lunchtime, and there were no patients waiting, and no one was at the reception counter either. I looked around in the corridor looking for my boyfriend, and I was getting ready to call him when I overheard some voices. It was the nurses who were chatting in the nurses' lounge. They were talking about how my boyfriend's parents were meeting with the bride's parents this week. This morning, he was bragging to other doctors and took them to the hotel buffet to treat them. I thought he would use his girlfriend and leave her, just like his previous girlfriend. I wondered why. The bride is a music producer. He seemed like he wanted to get close to celebrities, so he was trying to get close to her. I couldn't believe it. That was why he was insisting on getting married. It wasn't because he loved me, but because he wanted to make money. I felt so betrayed. I left the hospital without anyone knowing and went to see his mother. She handed me an envelope and said, "This is all we can afford for the wedding expenses. We invested a lot of money to make our son a medical doctor. If your family demands a lot from us, it would be disrespectful. When you marry my son, you will be respected as the wife of a medical doctor for the rest of your life. In other words, you will enter the upper class and enjoy all the benefits of luxury living. So you need to prepare everything accordingly, even if it's more than you can afford, wouldn't you? You do know that these days doctors often marry other doctors, right? It's not typical for Robert to marry someone who is not a doctor. So I think you need to buy at least a luxury condo in the upper town. She demanded it outright. After she left, I opened the envelope and was completely surprised. There was only $5 inside. There was $500 in it, with a list full of wedding gift items for me to buy. I came home and showed it to my parents and said, "Mom, could you ask Uncle if he is able to come?" "No, make sure that he must come to meet my boyfriend's parents." "I will not let it pass like this. I was just waiting for it when my boyfriend called me back." "You had called several times. Did something happen?" "No, nothing special. I just wanted to have lunch together. By the way, you must not be late for dinner this time, like having surgery suddenly or something. Okay? We need to rest on Sundays. Unless it's something special, we don't have any surgeries. I will come with my mom and dad on time and will not be late." "Don't worry." He hung up. My parents and I decided to see this through and waited for the day to meet his family. We went to the restaurant first. They were 30 minutes late and my boyfriend and his dad came in. His mother followed them slowly. She had heavy makeup and wore fancy clothes. Unlike her, my parents, who were dressed modestly, got up and greeted them. My boyfriend's parents had a snobbish expression and greeted stiffly and sat down first. Then his mother said, "Our Robert is amazingly smart. He was hired at a large corporation right away, but he said he wanted to become a doctor. No one can do that easily. He's my son, but you're getting a great son-in-law." Then my mom said, "Our Jenny is also someone who excels at everything. She always received a scholarship throughout school, and she makes so much money that she even gives some to us." Then my boyfriend's parents looked at each other and snickered at us. "Yeah, I heard that she records some celebrity songs. These days, times are getting better, so even if she does something like that, and becomes the same level as doctors." My father then said, "That's right. These days, it also depends on the doctors. There are many doctors with great family backgrounds. On the other hand, some doctors want to open a hospital and get crazy about marketing to attract patients. Isn't that right? Your hospital is where 3 doctors got together to open it. If you are just a hired doctor, you would have to do a lot of work." Then my boyfriend's face turned red and he gulped down iced water. Then his mother said, "Robert's hospital has a lot of patients. The hospital was set up by Robert's college professor, so the level is different. But as for your daughter, if a celebrity becomes unpopular, wouldn't she become unemployed? A doctor is different from that kind of work. My son is the one who fixes the faces of celebrities. Do you know how many celebrities are among his patients now?" Then his father said, "I don't think it will work. From the beginning, I didn't feel like it. Let's go." He tried to leave without looking at my parents' faces. There are hospitals like that. So I was just asking, seeing you being so sensitive like this, did I hit a sore spot or something? When my dad said it, my boyfriend's mother went berserk. "What sore spot?" "It's because you find fault with someone else's son's hospital without knowing it well." I really didn't mean to say this, but even if doctors these days aren't the same as they used to be, there are a lot of people who are dying to have a doctor as their son-in-law. Even with those professional matchmaking companies, my son would be rated top as a highly eligible bachelor to marry. If you aren't going to come up with a luxury condo and pay for all the wedding expenses, I don't think we will proceed with this marriage. I wasn't going to give out even $500, but when your daughter came over to our house, she brought a lot of stuff. So it was to show our appreciation. You should know that. If you can't afford it, let's just quit here. We should choose someone with a similar level, shouldn't we? My boyfriend's mother and father spoke one after another. Then my father showed them a document. This is a document of our property that we have willed to our daughter after we die. Even if it's a small piece of land of less than 20,000 square feet, it's in an area to be developed and has good investment value. So I can't let my daughter marry into a family who treats her condescendingly. Suddenly, my boyfriend's parents' expressions changed, and my boyfriend looked flustered and gave his parents eye signals. Then I said, I guess those singers on a comeback must have gone to you, Robert. I think they went to you because I referred them, and they said they trust me and went. I hope you didn't just treat them with cursory. Why are you pretending you didn't know? I told you that those singers would go to you. Then his parents became silent. At that moment, my uncle came into the restaurant. Am I not late? I tried to be on time, but I'm 5 minutes late. Uncle, it's okay, we just started to talk. When I said that, my boyfriend jumped up from his seat with his face turned white. Professor, how did you, Uncle? If he was my college professor, you should have told me. Then I said, why does it matter what your uncle does when we meet? Didn't you say that if only the two of us got on? The two of us got along well, that was enough. But I guess that wasn't it. Even the celebrities I introduced, it seems like it all happened because you are great. Then my uncle said, did you know that your hospital director still keeps in close contact with me? Anyway, I heard all about how your parents treated my precious niece when she went to your house. Then his mother finally came to her senses and pleaded, let's not do this and try to talk it over. Those two love each other and want to get married. But I replied I lost all my feelings. I set up this meeting because I couldn't believe how you treated me and gave me $500 for the wedding expenses. Did you say I would become unemployed if my celebrity fails? Those celebrities come to me for help. You don't know anything. My mom also added, I see now how badly you treated my daughter. When I heard it, I couldn't believe it. But I am glad that I found out before it went any further. Then she told my dad, my uncle, and me to leave. My boyfriend's parents begged my uncle on their son's behalf. But my uncle said no matter how good your son is as a doctor, is it okay to do it to someone else's daughter? Our Jenny is also a precious daughter and niece. That's how my marriage was canceled, and I gradually returned to my daily life. After that, my boyfriend called me several times and asked me to meet him, but I refused. The friend who introduced my ex to me couldn't even look directly into my face. I think I can live alone because I have the ability. However, who knows? Should I meet someone very compatible with me? A person should appreciate another person as they are. However, why is it that the #1 priority is to look at one's job and money? It makes you blind and unable to see the other person properly. It hurts people. I don't want to live like that. Money is important in life. Fame is also important. As much as money is important, I will work harder to become a capable and wonderful person first. Wouldn't that make it easier to recognize a really cool person at a glance? Thank you so much for listening to my story. Please be happy always. Please cheer for me and share your words of wisdom in the comments section. Liking and subscribing is a big help to me. Have a wonderful day.